What's the worst case of spoiled rotten that you've seen? A friend I went to high school with got a slightly smaller iPad Pro for his birthday. He really wanted the bigger one with more memory. He proceeds to put it on record and throw it off a roof in retaliation. His parents then buy him another iPad Pro, the correct one as he put it. I don't talk to him anymore because he was a condescending ass. Sister refuses to look for a job and as a result moves back home. She uses my parents' vehicle to drive around with her boyfriend and go to parties and shit. One day there's a family emergency and the car is not in the driveway for her to use. She throws a tantrum, trashes the house, and runs away with her boyfriend. By the way, my sister is 22 years old. Ran away, 22 years old. So she moved out? This will probably get lost, but this is one of my favorite spoiled kid come-up-and stories ever. Had a friend Don who had 2 kids, a year apart in age. When his son turned 16, Don was ready to give him his pristine Volkswagen. Don really babied his cars, so this Jetta, though about 7 years old, was truly in like new condition, a car that most normal 16-year-olds would be thrilled to have. I would have been thrilled to have it myself. So Don tells his son the plan and his son goes, "Dad, I'm not driving that car. It's a 7-year-old Jetta. I need a new pickup truck." After taking a deep breath so he didn't throttle his son, Don simply said, "Well, then, I'll drive the Jetta for 1 more year and then give it to your sister when she's 16. If you want a new pickup truck then you'll either have to ask your mother or buy one yourself." Now Don and his kid's mother had been divorced for years and, through a series of bad choices, his ex-wife had barely 2 dimes to rub together. Don had gotten remarried to a woman who was a very successful and wealthy business owner. So his son, very mistakenly, thought that Don and his current wife would foot the bill for whatever the son wanted. How very wrong he was. Fast forward a year, his daughter is very happily driving the Jetta. Don bought himself a brand new Mazda. His son has access to neither of them. In desperation, his son bought himself a crappy $800 Beater just to get himself to and from work. Lesson learned, I hope. I applaud Don for sticking to his guns and teaching his kid not to be an entitled arsehole at an early age. Friend of mine saved up for an iPod when they first came out. Literally saved for a year to get one. His mom took him and his sister to the mall so he can purchase his. His sister started throwing a tantrum because she didn't have one now. Their mom got so fed up with her about it she bought the sister one to just shut her up. I've been that brother. It really does kill you inside. You can't do X until you're 14. Turns 14. Okay, so when you and your 10-year-old sister are out doing X, hold the duck up. Why can't she do it 4 years early? It wouldn't be fair if she couldn't. Question mark. My employer's 2 sons have everything paid for so they never have to worry about cost. They both have everything they want and need. One of them likes expensive shiny things and he's always thrown fits until he got what he wanted from what his dad told me. For Christmas, he wanted a $1,200 55-inch Samsung Curve TV, even after his dad stated that his budget is $1,000 for each. He threw fits and got mad at his dad and his dad, being the wimp he is, apologized and ended up buying it for him anyway. The son is 21 years old. $1,000 budget for Christmas? Me and my brother are lucky if we get $100 between the both of us. I was in a Toys R Us in the 90s. This mother and daughter who had to be around 12 were shopping. The girl asks if she can have some toy. The mother said no, we are here to get a gift for. The girl asked once or twice more and the mom declined. The girl then said "duck you mommy" and took off running. The mother chased her while the kid cursed her out. Eventually, it must have ended. I went to check out and the mother-daughter are behind me. The mother not only got the toy she wanted but actually apologized. That was my cousin Zach, but when we left Toys R Us his dad made him give the toy to Salvation Army. He cried and cried. I got yelled at for laughing. I like the dad style. Was at the Ford dealership getting my oil changed and killing time by walking through the big showroom. There is a Mustang GT 350 sitting in the middle with a huge bow on it and folks gathered around waiting for someone. Minutes later the family comes in with their son, who immediately yells about wanting it in blue instead of black and denting the passenger door with a swift kick. Dated a girl who was given a brand new car for her 16th. She had it for less than a year before she crashed it. Her parents bought her a used car. She had it for about a year before crashing it. They bought her a third car, used, and then when her brother turned 16 she pitched a fit because he got a new car while she had to drive around her used car. In college I knew a girl whose daddy was some big shot banker or something. Made enough that the wife didn't have to work and 3 kids could go to expensive schools with little financial aid. This girl didn't have to work during college, had all her supplies and lodging paid for by daddy, and got to fly home every time there was a 3-day weekend. All on her father's dime. I once had to borrow $10 from her to pay for some food when we went out to eat. I promised I would pay her back once I got my check next week. At the time I worked for a cafe, and she seemed cool with it. Turns out she was not cool with it, and promptly bashed me on her blog and all her other friends, calling me a bad person and a thief because I borrowed $10, which I paid her back. I brought up the blog posts and she was very embarrassed. Last I heard of her, she's living in a daddy paid Manhattan apartment working part-time as a receptionist at a yoga studio. She started a new blog about the struggle. Went to school with a girl who got a 2012 BMW and literally cried and cussed out her parents because she didn't get a 2015. Knew one girl who got a hot pink Hummer for her quinceanera. Since she still had a year before she could drive, she decided to keep the Hummer for no apparent reason, and got a Mercedes Roadster once she turned 16. Knew another girl who got a Mercedes G-Wagon for her 16th. She crashed it a week later on purpose because her stepdad bought it as an attempt to buy her love and she caught him cheating on her mom. Dunno if that's exactly worth it. My friend's dog. He used to barbecue a steak for the dog once or twice a week. Apparently the dog didn't like it pan-fried. A friend of mine is married to a very rich man. Old coal money or something. No one in the family has to work, they all just live off of investments. Anyway, she was crying one day because her mother-in-law was threatening to cut her husband's allowance and he might have to get a job. I didn't know her personally, but I'm still friends with a guy who dated one of her friends. I heard this from him. We all went to private, pretty expensive school in the US. The spoiled rotten girl got a degree in journalism and promptly moved to London to find a job. Her parents rented her an apartment, and I assume paid for her life, for about 2 years before she was forced to move back because she never looked for nor was employed while there. Once back in the States she refused to live in her parents' house, citing she was a grown woman. How could this be expected of her? Her parents bought her an apartment in New York City. Last I heard she still lives in that apartment, without a job, but has moved because it's in shitty Brooklyn, not Manhattan. I'm from a rich area in Dallas, TX, so I've seen some shit. I went back for a visit and my childhood best friend was complaining that her parents were only letting her go to New Zealand instead of Amsterdam. Again, her dad is a multi-millionaire and both of her teenage brothers drive Teslas. My male best friend was complaining to me that he didn't get to go to prom in a Hummer limo, only a regular stretch. He looked like he was going to pass out when I told him that I missed prom in high school to work a night shift. Glad I don't know them anymore. When I was 15, I was dating this girl that I met at a coffee shop downtown. Her parents were loaded. Like home movie theater, wine cellar, live-in maid loaded. The girl got a brand new Lexus for her 16th birthday. It took her 4 times to pass her driving test. A week later she totals the car, so they buy her another one. Her parents also flew her from California to London to go school clothes shopping. Her parents also flew her from California to London to go school clothes shopping. What the actual duck? My mom had cervical cancer a few years ago and had a full hysterectomy. She was out of work for a while and my brother and I had to work more hours and basically help out with the majority of the bills and groceries. My then girlfriend at the time couldn't seem to understand why I wasn't willing to pay hundreds of dollars on a tux and prom stuff. She proceeded to ask me every day if we were going, until I finally yelled at her and told her sarcastically that I was sorry my mom had cancer and surgery to remove all of it, and that I was sorry I had to help out with paying bills. She finally shut up about it and cried to her friends, literally cried, at the school she went to, but told them I just didn't want to go. She totally left out the cancer part. I only learned that the other week when one of the people she cried to got hired at my job and told me what she did. We later broke up because she cheated on me and she told everyone I hit her. I've never been in a fight in my life and I'm afraid to hit anyone because I'm a bitch. I guess prom overrules helping my mom who had cancer,